This intro is for Phil Got Books. I really enjoy his channel. This isn't a dig. I just wanted to give some advice about a gadget. It's a really weird looking bookmark. If you use it like this, all you do, and then there's no issue with it not sticking in the page. That's all. Hey guys, this video is going to fulfill a couple of different roles. I want to do a wrap up of my reading for February, a wrap up of my writing for February, goals moving forward, and a March TBR. So I will start with the wrap up. These were the books that I read this month. I had 4 audio books on Audible that I just ended up having to return because I didn't have time to read them. And I actually am not done with these 2 yet. So I'll get to those in a second. But I'll just start with what I started with. So I read Sense and Sensibility and Sea Monsters. Yeah, it was exactly what I expected it to be. It was Sense and Sensibility with sea monsters, and I'm happy that I read it because I've had this book for ages and it ticked the box, and I don't feel the need to read it again, but I enjoyed myself while I read it. So 3 stars. Next, I read my blind date with a book, which ended up being this horror book, which was more like slasher slash. I didn't love this. There was 1 chapter in the first story. It's 2 novellas. There's 1 chapter in the first novella that did get like eerie and creepy, and I did like that chapter. And then the second novella was more Joker-esque, so it was more fantastical in its it was more like Saw, or it was a psychopath, but they were whimsical as opposed to the first one that was just psychopaths. That I gave like 1.75 1 3/4 stars because I did not enjoy that read. I opened my other blind date with a book, and it ended up being Call Us What We Carry. And I have decided not to read this all in one go because as I was reading it, this is poetry. As I was reading it, I realized that I really just wanted to enjoy each poem. Like like when you have those little individual Reese's, you enjoy like peeling apart the paper, and like, you enjoy the little candy. You don't just shove them all in your mouth. I mean, maybe you do. But not with the wrapping on. Is this making any sense? I wanted to really sit with each poem, and so that doesn't lend itself to like finish the book before the month ends. So I've read a few, but not all of them. I will read something really quickly from here because I liked it a lot. This is called And So. It is easy to harp, harder to hope. This truth, like the white blown sky, can only be felt in its entirety or not at all. The glorious was not made to be piecemeal. Despite being drenched with dread, this dark girl still dreams. We smile like a sun that is never shunted. Grief, when it goes, does so softly, like the exit of that breath we just realized we clutched. Since the world is round, there is no way to walk away from each other, for even then we are coming back together. Some distances, if allowed to grow, are merely the greatest proximities. So that's just one of the poems in here. I have liked so many of them so far. I can't even, there's one it's in the section called What a Piece of Wreck is Man. And there's a quote from Ocean Vuong And then she's just got a poem that is in the shape of a whale. It's been just a really enjoyable, slow treat. So I will be finishing this, but probably not this month. And that's intentional because I really want to enjoy each poem for itself and like sit with it. Then I read Get a Life, Chloe Brown. So my friend told me that this did not have spice. She lied. I'm sure it's nowhere near the spiciest novel, but there was spice. I was like, okay. Anyway, I thought the writing was really funny. Okay. I have two parts of my brain on this. It was the enjoyer of rom-coms side of my head and the English lit major in the other side of my head. So they were a little bit at odds. But basically, I thought the writing was really funny, but some of the dialogue was cheesy. I really liked the characters in themselves. I thought that they were realistic. I liked them together. Of course, the third act, the arguments are a little bit, they're plot devices. And that's just the nature of romances, I guess. And so you have to make the characters bend to the plot, which I don't love. But this book, of my limited experience of romances, I think this did a good job of explaining to us why they were going to have a rift to begin with. And they had the disagreement, and then I wasn't annoyed with the characters for a very long time afterward. So I gave this a 3.7 or 3 3/4 stars. Also, Chloe Brown has fibromyalgia. I thought they did a really great job talking about chronic pain and fatigue. I thought it was really well done. So there's that one. And then last is Sighthound, which I haven't finished this yet, but technically February is not over yet. And I may be able to finish this before it is over. But to be honest, I'm probably going to DNF this book, which is a bummer because at the beginning I had tabbed things. But yeah, it doesn't really seem to be going, I don't really understand what's happening. It's just people talking about this dog and his surgery, or talking about this, that, and the other. And I'm at 100 pages and there's no plot yet. There's no direction that this is going. So it's not holding my interest at all. I started reading this at the beginning of the month, and then I moved to Sense and Sensibility and Sea Monsters, and then I started to read it again, and then I went to the blind date with the book, and then I started to read it again, and went to the other blind date with the book, and then I started to read it again, and decided to go with the rom-com. So this might be a DNF. Who knows? As far as my writing goals go, I think I only wrote 600 words this month. I want to say I'm disappointed with myself, but actually going from making no YouTube videos and having my full-time job and reading and writing to having my full-time job, filming full videos, editing the full videos, editing the thumbnail, the export time, blah, 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 blah. It takes a long time. And I had forgotten that the last time I did this, I didn't have a job. So making the videos has really taken up all of my time that I haven't been reading. And if I'm being honest, I did get sidetracked by Dimension 20 Fantasy High sophomore year. I mean, I'm not perfect. And also I have a social life and, things happen and I have to attend them. Yeah, I have friends, I have family, I do things with them. Anyway, so I didn't write anything. Which leads me to, I guess I'll talk about my goals. My goals for writing and I guess the publishing side of things. I would like to have 3 fully fleshed out drafts of stories to send to beta readers this year. So I guess ideally that would be one every 4 months. This doesn't mean it has to be perfect. It doesn't have to be ready to send to like publishers. I just need to be able to have it completed enough that I can give it to somebody else and say, tell me what you think of it. And I also want to be rejected from 5 places. So whether that is submitting poetry, whether it's submitting essays or short stories, or whether it's trying to get an agent, a literary agent, or what have you. I want to be rejected 5 times, because that way I don't have to be afraid of failure, because the goal is failure. So I'm winning, you know, maybe you don't. I know what I mean. So that's what matters. So those are my writing goals. My reading goals, like if you went to my Goodreads, you'd see 50 books. I want to read 50 books. I read 112 last year. I'm cutting it down to 50 because I do want to be writing more. And within that, I want to read 24 physical books from my physical library, because too many of these books I have not read. Hence why I'm focusing on this, and the Libby books I'm less concerned with. So I really like the buzzword challenges, and I really like the dopamine that I get when I complete a challenge on Goodreads. So I'm going to try to fit all of my reading into those categories. That being said, I'm only going to do TBRs. At least I'm going to try it for March, of 2 books. I'm hoping I do more than that. I do currently have 2 books that I just got from Libby on audiobooks. That's the word. And I would like to, listen to those. And I think that should be possible. But, I thought I'd be able to write this month, and I wasn't. So now we're going to move on to the March TBR. And I'm already going past my goals because I am in a book group. And the next book that we're reading is Pachinko. We're meeting in March. But as I may have mentioned once or twice, I read really slowly. And this is a huge book. And I did the math a while ago that if I read, 10 pages a day, I'll finish in a month and a bit. So I'm starting this book in March. I'm not planning on finishing it until April, when we have our book group. But that's already won over the goal that I just stated for myself. So for the buzzword challenges, the first one being the actual buzzword, the challenge for March is the thing. So the title has to have thing somewhere in it, whether it's part of another word or if it's just its own word. I looked through all of my books, which no, I don't have them cataloged digitally or anything. I'm an old lady. And I haven't counted them. But I have gone through each one physically, and the only book that I have that has thing in it is One More Thing, which is a number of short stories by B.J. Novak, he was a writer for The Office, and he also played Ryan. There you go. Yeah, I found this at Half Price Books ages and ages and ages ago. I'm excited to read it. I read one little story. It's like not even a full page. I'm not going to look for it right now, but it was really funny. And I'm excited to read this month. Next is the book cover challenge that she's doing this year. And the challenge is that the book has to have books on it. So I looked through my physical library again, and I found all of these. And there's a lot of them. Oh, okay. This one's kind of cheating. So, Dear Edward, I read Hello Beautiful recently, and I really liked it, so I wanted to get her other book, Dear Edward. And technically it doesn't have books on the cover except for this little tag. It's not even a tag. It is part of the book. But it's like, oh, it's a book group or something. So if you count that as the cover, which technically it is the cover, it's part of the cover, I don't think I should include that. So now it's this many. So my goal is Erasure. I went to see American Fiction and I loved it, and it is based on this book. And I have been hearing about Erasure for decades. When was this written? It came out in 2001. So yeah, decade. I've probably been hearing about this since it came out. Anyway, so I would like to read this month. If I, by some miracle, am able to write more and still get videos put out and live my life, then I will look into reading any of these. A lot of them are small. I have a couple of Harry Potter ones, lit mags, which have like, saying like a lot. It's different short stories and poems and things that I would like to read. And then there's the poetry magazine, great short poems. You know, Billy Collins. There's a lot of poetry in here. Pablo Neruda. There's a lot. There's a lot. Did I say that there's a lot? So if I have time, I will read some of those. They're a lot smaller. I may feel more accomplished. Yada, yada, yada. And that's all that I have to say about that. The next videos that I'll have out will probably be more related to writing than with books, and that way it will help me with my quota, my writing quota. So if you're interested, come along with me, and I'll see you on the next blank page. Bye.